Alright, kind of a random video here, but I've got this little CRT monitor in my bedroom that I sometimes play video games on, but I don't really have any way to play media on it, like if I want to watch TV shows or something on it. I used to have a DVD player in here, and the DVD player had a little USB port on the front, and it would play like standard definition video files off of a USB stick. But a family member ended up needing the DVD player, so I sort of like lent them that with the notion that I might not ever get it back. Not really a big deal. I don't really have a lot of DVDs, but yeah. Nonetheless, this is sitting in here, and I'm like, I've got some TV shows recently that I wouldn't mind watching in my room on this TV, and I'm thinking, well, okay, well I have my laptop, so this is like an older ThinkPad, and the only output on it is a mini display port on the side. So I was like, well, okay, let's try a couple of adapters here. So this is a mini display port to HDMI dongle. These are pretty common. DisplayPort and HDMI are both, digital video signals, and they both carry digital audio as well. So they're kind of similar, and they're similar enough that it's fairly easy to convert. This little adapter was like $10.99 Canadian. This gets us to HDMI, but we still need to get HDMI to composite. So I also picked up this. This is an HDMI. It says HDMI to AV. Sometimes it'll say HDMI to RCA. But yeah, this is HDMI to composite 480i with audio. And in here is the little adapter itself and a power cable. Although I'm not sure if it needs the power cable or if it can get the power off the HDMI port. I found on a couple of websites they mention that it can get the power from the HDMI, but maybe off some devices it can't get enough power. So there's like a mini USB port here to power it. There's a little switch on the side for PAL or NTSC, so that's going to be for the video that it's outputting. There's no other switches, and I don't know if this is expecting, realistically HDMI, this is expecting like a 720p 1280 by 720 or a 1080p 1920 by 1080. Is it expecting like a 16 by 9 signal coming in? And is it just going to always be, letterboxed on the 4x3 TV? Well, I hope not. In the instruction manual for this adapter, they do mention some of the resolutions that it handles on the input side. So on the HDMI side, there's a lot of non-widescreen resolutions here as well. So yeah, it might be okay if we can set the resolution on the laptop to a 4x3 resolution, and then I don't know, we'll see how that looks, I guess, assuming this works at all. And again, I don't know if this is going to need power or not, so let's hook it all up and give it a try. All right, so yeah, this is my ThinkPad. It's running Linux, and I've got some episodes of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Was it late 80s when that came out? 89, I think. Off the top of my head, anyways. Late 80s. I got the episodes of the Ninja Turtles on a USB stick there, and I'm like, hey, I would love to watch that on my CRT TV. That'd be a real throwback. So we've got our little adapter here, and that's going to plug in to... Where is the mini display port? It's on this side. All right. So we got the mini display port. I always find it weird to say mini display port on the left side of the laptop there. And I've got a really short HDMI cable. These are super handy. Bought that off Amazon. It was hard to find locally anything shorter than 3 feet. And I wanted, basically, I think it's 1.5. It might only be 1 foot. But yeah, super handy. And then I've got some AV cables here. Just mono, but that's okay, because Commodore monitor is mono with only one speaker in it. And I think I got those plugged in, the right ones. Okay, so we'll plug that into here. And yeah, this thing is set to NTSC. And we'll plug that in. And immediately something came up on the TV, but it's saying no signal. So we got a color test pattern saying no signal. And that, I think, is coming directly from the converter. So it's a little worrying that the TV's already having some issues syncing with that. I don't think it's my AV cable. We can try messing with, do we have like vertical hold on the front of this? Oh, that's vertical there. Okay. Okay. So we got a stable image coming from the converter, but we got no image coming from the laptop to the converter. So now, is that because I'm running Linux? So interesting, as soon as I plug it in, the mini display port to HDMI to the laptop, and now we just have like snow there, which is weird because, again, unplug the HDMI, plug it back in, and we're getting the bars again. Well, this might just be a problem with Linux, so give me 1 second. Well, I got it working. It's not exactly working 100% correctly, and I think it's just that like this adapter doesn't like this, or like the computer or Ubuntu doesn't like this, in that it doesn't understand what this HDMI port is. So the first time I plugged it in, nothing happened. And I tried going into the settings, I tried changing resolutions, and I could not get anything to come up on this screen other than like when this thing doesn't have a signal and it just has the bars there. When you plug this in, it will basically default to a second monitor, but I don't know what the resolution that it's trying to run it at. It is running it as 16:9, although it's playing the 4:3 content fine. But if we try to look at the so like the menu's cut off for VLC. Like we should have media way over here, and it's like cut off way off to the edge. So it is like acting like it's a 16:9 screen, but when we play the 4:3 content, it ends up being right in the middle. So in a weird way, it kind of works out. The thing is, if we go into settings, we immediately lose the second monitor as soon as we try to open settings. And when we go to displays, it's only showing one display. It should show like multiple displays here, and it should show your options for like mirrored display or extended desktop. It's basically acting right now as if there's only one monitor plugged in, and as you can see, we lost that. As soon as we try to open the display settings, this will happen. You'll also notice our resolution changed because I've got it set here to 800 by 600, which is a 4:3 resolution, and I thought that would be ideal. But watch what happens. So I'll just minimize that. So we got 4:3, like 800 by 600 running on here. But there's no way to get the second monitor working unless I unplug this and then plug it back in. And when I do that, this defaults back to 1920 by 1080, but we get this up here as the second display. The other issue is there's like a lot of interference or snow or noise in there, and I'm not sure why. This thing does seem to sort of need the power. Like if we pull the power out of this thing, as you can see, it goes crazy. And like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's much more consistent if you just have the power plugged in. So like there's a lot of noise coming from this. And again, it is trying to send it a widescreen resolution. And I don't know what resolution it's trying to send it, because again, as soon as we come here and we go to settings, well, it's working now. That's weird. At first I thought this was a problem with Pop OS or a problem with this, but I took my laptop into my living room and used the mini DisplayPort to HDMI to go to my TV, and it worked perfectly. It showed up here as a second display. It said it was like an LG TV, but in here with this, it just doesn't show up as a second monitor at all, but yet it's acting as a second monitor. But I don't know what the resolution is. Again, VLC, if we drag it over here, oh, it's going to be hard with that hand. Let's try it like this. Oh, well, it won't even let me drag it over now. Yeah, it won't even let me drag it over to the second monitor, either on the left side or the right side. Whereas before, I was dragging it to the... So, okay, so we're going to unplug this. What the fuck? Dude, what? I am so glad I'm recording right now. I have unplugged this. And we still have... Is this thing frozen? Is the image stuck in here? I'm going to unplug the power to this and plug it back in. I think this has a buffer in it, and I think the image got stuck in the buffer. So that might explain a lot. That might explain why we saw an image here as if a second monitor was working, but it wouldn't let us drag it over. Okay, well, let's plug that in again. And again, when we plug that in, this seems to go back. Oh, see, now it's not. Now it's not showing up at all. Let's close VLC. Try that one more time. I'm going to unplug this and plug it back in. Every time you do it, that screen flashes as if, you know, it's detecting that something was plugged in, but nothing. So I'm going to unplug this. I'm going to turn off the laptop. It's so weird. Like, I was fiddling with it forever, just thinking it wasn't going to work. And again, I started to wonder if it was this mini DisplayPort to HDMI dongle. So I brought the laptop into my living room, plugged it in there, and it worked fine. Pop OS immediately saw, turn this back on. Pop OS immediately saw a second monitor, and I could go into the display settings and see a second monitor. And then I came back in here and plugged it in, and that's just what you saw when you saw it. That was it working for the first time after like 20 minutes of playing with it. And again, if that's in a lower resolution and I plug this in and it works, it seems to reset. Well, there you can see. So we're at 800 by 600. Let's plug this in. And again, it always acts like it detected something, and that resorted back to 1920 by 1080, and there we go. And it only works if you don't try and open the settings, because again, watch this. If I try to open the settings, it instantly loses this. And actually, this reset back to 800 by 600. So unplug it. Plug it back in. Resorts back to 1920 by 1080, and then this works. So it's like it only works if you're at 1920 by 1080, and it will stop working if you try and open the display settings. But now there's no freaking noise. All the snowy artifacts are gone. Let's open up VLC. Drag it to the second window. Go to open file. Open our Ninja Turtles. Full screen it. And there it is. Working perfectly. Oh, is the sound? The audio's coming from the laptop. Hey, right now the fact this is working, I'm not gonna screw with it. Because it looks great. Like, it looks amazing. And I assume it's sending a 1920 by 1080 signal to this. Obviously, this is only outputting 480i to here. But it thinks... Well, it doesn't think anything. This is getting a 1920 by 1080. It's kind of acting like it's a 16 by 9 because again, oops, if we oh, I can't. There we go. Oh, yeah. See, if I full screen VLC to this monitor, it's way cut off. You can't even see media on that menu. But it's 4:3 content I'm playing. So if I full screen it, it's fine. And again, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. It freaking looks great. So it kind of works. Some of it may be an issue because I'm using Pop OS. Some of it may be an issue because we got like 2 freaking different things and like it doesn't know what this is. Again, if I go plug this same thing into my TV, it shows up in display settings as a second monitor and it knows it's an LG TV. Whereas with this, it never shows up as a second monitor. And again, if we try to go to settings, it instantly loses it. And again, this is set to 800 by 600. But as soon as we plug this in, if it ends up working, this just resorts back to 1920 by 1080 as if it's just ignoring my display settings altogether. And I can't go into settings, I can't change anything or check anything. Yeah, I mean, it works. And it looks great when it works. It's a little fiddly, but it works and it looks great. The aspect ratio is great. We don't have black bars at the top or the bottom. It's pretty much, I think, filling the overscan, if you will, or whatever, pretty much just right. We can read all the subtitles right where they should be. Miraculously, it works fine once it's working. It's just really weird. Again, maybe if we were on Windows, it would handle this better. Maybe it's just a combination of this and this. Where's that snow interference we had earlier? It's totally gone now. I don't know. It's just weird stuff, but it's working. Again, the audio is coming out of the laptop, not this. but who knows? Again, if I did go into the sound settings, maybe I can get the sound to go out the mini display port. The sound's just not coming out of the mini display port, even though it should or it could. DisplayPort does carry audio just like HDMI. But again, that's a driver thing where you need the drivers to understand that. And who knows, in Pop! OS, I might not even be able to get the audio to come out of here. But it's working and it looks great. I didn't think it was going to work. Again, I was playing with this for like 20 minutes, trying different resolutions. You know, I tried 1080. I did try 1920 by 1080, and I tried 720p, and then I tried all the 4:3, 1024 by 768. But the thing is, the whole time I was trying that, I would have had the settings thing open, and you can't have the display settings open. So like the whole time I was trying to get it to work, that might just be why you can't have the display settings open, and just plug that in. The picture looks great for composite. For composite coming off this cheap piece of shit. Look at the text. That's a clean composite image. Yeah, sometimes it gets, sometimes it seems to not work again, and if I reset, turn off the laptop and turn it back on again, it'll start working again. But typically, if I just plug it in, it will work. It does work, and no snowy interference. I don't know. It works, I guess, kind of, sort of. Your results may vary a lot. A lot of things. Bye.